came across a most fascinating article in the August 1962 issue of Popular Science, and it's titled "The Eager Beaver" and was written by George Laycock. And I thought I knew a lot about beavers because of my trucking about the Michigan woodlands, but there is an awful lot here that I didn't know and that I think you'll enjoy. So without, as they say, further ado from me, here is the eager beaver. Even the eagerest beaver sometimes tackles a job too big for him. Some months ago, a beaver approached the big concrete McNary Dam across the Columbia River in Oregon. He took a quick look at the waters pouring through the navigation locks and set about correcting the trouble. For a week, the beaver frantically carried sticks and mud and tried to anchor them in place, but he could not hold back the brawling Columbia. Eventually, he paddled off downstream, humbled by his experience. Such defeats are rare. Long before men first thought of damming a stream, the beaver was doing it successfully. This widely trapped animal, which had disappeared from the North American landscape by 1900, has staged a remarkable comeback. Through the efforts of wildlife conservationists and the creation of state game preserves, he has returned abundantly to large sections of his original range, in some areas to the point of actually becoming a nuisance. When the beaver colony gets overcrowded, the young leave home and follow the stream until they find mates and suitable building sites. Beavers usually build their dams close by a stand of aspen or poplar trees, the bark of which provides their very favorite food. Now, as the sun sets, the homesteading beaver comes out on the bank and begins their timbering operations. Most of the trees they cut measure 2 or 4 inches in diameter, although beavers have brought down trees a yard thick at the base. Nature, or God, has equipped the beaver well for this wood-cutting task. In front of his mouth are 2 matching pairs of orange-colored teeth, 2.5 inches long, and they are self-sharpening. Grinding against each other maintains a knife-like edge on the outer shell. Because he can close his loose lips tightly behind these teeth, the beaver can even perform his wood chopping underwater. Self-closing valves in his ears and nostrils further waterproof him. It's no trick for a beaver to stay underwater 6 minutes before coming up for air. The average full-grown beaver is 3 to 4 feet long and weighs from 40 to 70 pounds, although some 100-pounders have been recorded. Beavers ordinarily pair off until death. They live about 10 years. They mate in January or February, and the litter arrives averaging 3 or 4 young in May or June. To cut down a tree, the beaver stands full length on his hind legs and uses his broad 10-inch tail as a prop. He moves around the tree, cutting wood all the way around and letting the chips fall where they will. He can bring down a willow tree 4 inches thick in 5 minutes, which is pretty awesome. Can a beaver make a tree fall into the water when and where he wants to? Well, some people say he can, but probably not. Once in a long while, in fact, an inept beaver drops a tree on himself, putting a premature end to his woodcrafting career. A beaver cuts away at the tree until it begins to sway, and then he waddles off as quickly as his short legs permit and jumps into the water for safety. He waits. If the noise of the falling tree attracts no enemy, he returns and speedily trims off the limbs and cuts them into convenient lengths. He then drags a limb into the water and, gripping it with his teeth, swims off with it trailing over his shoulder. To move big logs, he swims alongside like a harbor tug, easing a great liner into its berth. The average beaver dam measures 15 feet across and 3 feet high, but some have become monumental in size. Perhaps the largest on record is a massive collection of sticks, stones, and mud stretching across the cold waters of the Upper Bow River in Saskatchewan. Including its wings, the dam measures 5,200 feet. It is 10 feet high and holds back an incredible 30 acres of water. The little engineer starts his dam in the deepest part of the creek, often where the water is a couple of feet deep. The first sticks are placed in the bottom of the creek parallel to the current. These, if the beaver can find them, are waterlogged branches from the water's edge. They're easier to hold down than green sticks. The butt ends of the sticks face upstream and are anchored in place with mud and stones. The building goes on stick by stick until a mass of material begins to emerge above the water's surface, with the level of the creek rising gradually behind it. A beaver does all his work from the upper side of his dam. As long as he is in the water, his webbed rear feet are excellent propelling paddles, and his broad tail makes a fine rudder. He slides each new stick over the top of the dam and locks it in place. Now, as the dam grows, night after night, he no longer takes care to place the sticks parallel to the stream's flow. It becomes a haphazard job at that point. It may contain rocks of 10 pounds or more, but it holds water. The upper surface of the dam is plastered with mud, which the beaver carries in his front paws from the bottom of the pond. Now, time to time, he dives into the bottom, and each new scoop of mud helps seal the dam and deepen the pond. He does not, as some have said, use his tail as a trowel or as a large barge for floating mud across the pond. Gradually, the pond spreads over 3 or 4 acres. In creating a home for himself, the beaver also creates homes for many of his neighbors. He's a pretty popular guy in the neighborhood. Ducks come to nest. Trout, as one study in Maine shows, become more abundant. The kingfishers find things more to their liking, and so do the red-winged blackbirds, as well as the mink, the skunk, the muskrats, and the turtles. Deer and moose come for the succulent water plants. Seldom a night passes that the dam doesn't need some repair, patching, or enlarging. Should the structure spring a leak, the beaver quickly follows the current to the exact spot where the water is escaping. Now, this talent has come to the aid of more than one farmer whose irrigation dam was losing water. In one case, a farmer, try as he might, couldn't locate the leak, but one night a pair of beavers moved into the lake and sealed his dam for him. This everlasting drive to hold back all running water sometimes makes enemies for the beaver. Some months ago, New Jersey fishery biologists opened the valve on a lake they wanted to lower, but only by sitting sleepless all night beside the valve were they able to keep beavers from plugging the valve so fast, just as fast as it was opened almost. Damage complaints frequently come into conservation departments asking help against beavers that have flooded cornfields, killed trees, or caused creeks to submerge highways, actually. Why don't complaining citizens tear out the beaver dams, you might ask? Well, they do, if it's legal. They tear them out with an axe and pitchfork and blow them out with dynamite, but no sooner does night come than the beaver sets to work frantically to repair the damage. One enterprising victim of the beaver built a straw man on top of the remnants of a dam that he tore out. The next day, the dam was repaired, and neatly worked into it was the framework of the scarecrow. As the beaver dam grows higher, the tons of water behind it may threaten to push away the structure. Beavers have been known to build a second dam below the first. Water behind the second structure takes some of the pressure off the original dam and reduces chances that it will wash away. But human engineers and impressive college degrees look with even greater respect on the beaver's canals. Overland travel is difficult for the water-loving beaver. It is especially so when he is carrying a load of wood for food or building. But the beaver is up to this challenge too. He builds a canal about 2 feet wide, 10 inches deep, and sometimes several hundred feet long. Canals serve beavers just as they serve people. They make it easier for them to move materials. By building his dam, the beaver has created a refuge from his enemies, and a very good one indeed. The water becomes a moat around his castle, a dome-shaped lodge at the water's surface. The doors are actually underwater. Should you surprise a beaver in open water, he will smack the surface of the water with his broad tail. And through a still woodland, the pistol-like crack can be heard half a mile away. Every beaver within hearing dives from sight, heading chances are straight for the underwater door of his lodge. At the outer edge of the walls of the lodge they may be 5 feet thick, a mass of sticks, stones, and mud. They're plastered from the outer side with a thick layer of mud that freezes solid during the northern winters. But near the top of the house, the wall is built thinner, and body heat from the beavers living inside melts the snow from the top of the structure. The smoke hole provides the beaver's home with ventilation. So with thick walls between him and his enemies, fresh air, a comfortable warm bed, and wood chips, and a nearby supply of food, the beaver may not come out of his lodge during the entire wintertime. He is well prepared. The beaver has his busy, orderly life so completely planned that he doesn't have to go out of his pond for winter food at all. As winter approaches, he is busy cutting trees for future meals. He transports the limbs to the bottom of the pond near his lodge and anchors a great pile of them in the mud. When hunger prompts him, he slides down his submerged hallway, selects a limb, and tows it back to the comfort of his lodge to strip and eat at leisure. He slides the peeled white wood back out into the pond. Later it will probably show up in his dam. The peeled limbs are easily spotted from the air. So how does the beaver know what depth to make his pond to keep it from freezing solid in the winter? This is an unsolved secret that he keeps solely to himself and his clan. It is almost as mysterious as how the beaver knows, in the first place, all the techniques he uses so expertly in building his amazing dam. So that ends the article. I found it quite fascinating, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you enjoyed it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe so that you will not miss out on a single new program on one of my favorite channels on YouTube, the Dennis Morrison channel. Hey, that's mine. Well, God bless everyone, and have a great day.